The role of Mexico as an incoming chair of the COP16 is to try to exercise leadership and give guidance to the process in order to facilitate that we can have a balanced outcome, a good, comprehensive, balanced outcome that addresses the needs and the specific situations of the different actors in the international community. And in climate change, this is particularly complex because it's an issue that involves many actors, many different situations that have to do with the geographical questions. For instance, the situation of small island developing states is very, very specific. The problems that least developed countries which have been affected by desertification are also very, very specific. The position of oil producing countries is also specific itself. So it requires guidance and facilitating dialogue and understanding in order to be able to achieve a good, successful result. One of the points that we have learned is that this negotiation is about a very technical and complex issue, but at the same time, it's a political process. It's a process that requires high political decisions where we need to involve political actors, and also that it is important to arrive to the conference with some outcome already ready for approval. At Copenhagen, unfortunately, the working groups did not make enough progress, so we got to the conference with the participation of a huge number of heads of state and government, but we did not have an idea as to what the possible outcome would be. Well, we hope that we are able to adopt a series of decisions that altogether can constitute actually an framework for collective action that includes the different aspects that are on the table of the negotiations. On mitigation, for instance, we hope that we can consolidate the political will that was shown in Copenhagen in not only developed countries' commitments to undertake some goals in terms of mitigation activities, but also for developing countries to engage into that kind of commitments. As you may recall, in Copenhagen, the developing countries were also voluntarily registering their goals and their commitments. So I think we should be able to build further on this and to have a balanced outcome where developed and developing countries can make commitments in the area of mitigation, although with a different nature. On adaptation, I think it's very important that we have also, as well as on the mitigation area, the commitment to comply with the flow of resources also for adaptation. And here I would like to mention also that it's absolutely critical that we see a clear progress in the implementation of the Fast Start funds that were agreed on at Copenhagen. Well, first of all, we have been emphasizing the need to build up a package deal. A package deal means that you have different parts that are interdependent and that reinforce each other. We cannot think that we will have effective and clear commitments, for instance, in terms of mitigation, unless we also have an agreement on how the provision of the technologies and how the provision of financial resources will be given. So we feel that this kind of package, the clear understanding that we need progress on all the different components in the negotiations, is what can create the right incentives. To have financing and technology will help developing countries to commit to mitigation and adaptation activities. On the other hand, to see that developing countries are willing to undertake these kind of commitments should also be an incentive for developed countries to commit to even more ambitious goals in terms of mitigation and of complying with providing financing for the activities in developing countries. So we believe that the center of the negotiation is precisely having the ability to build up this very complex package that involves a series of decisions on different aspects. Well, we are very much aware how much interest this conference raises within civil society and in general, in society in general. So we are preparing for a conference that has physically the facilities to give access to as many people as possible, but it cannot be unlimited. So what we are trying to do and preparing, and what we are preparing in Cancun is also to establish different places in the city of Cancun where the activities and technology fair, for instance, can be established. Some countries want to set up some show places on their own programs, what they are doing in their countries. We want also to make a very important program of academic activities, of providing space for NGOs and groups from civil society to meet and to discuss specific items. So we are planning for a very broad, or as broad as possible, participation of civil society. Within the conference itself, it's decision by the UN Secretariat, together with the member states, of course, what kind of arrangements will be made. There, it is very much possible that we will need to ask the organizations themselves to agree on some representatives that can participate directly in the consultations and in the process, that can be actually physically present in the room. In fact, we are facing the challenge of going from a method of production intensive in energy consumption and very much dependent on fossil fuels into a completely new way of doing things. Of our production processes have to be changed. And in that sense, we believe that we have to see this transition actually as an opportunity. And there are some examples that can be found on how much industries related to the fight against climate change and in general on environment technologies can and have been producing a positive effect in terms of job creation, in terms of economic growth. And we have no doubt that introducing public policies that incorporate the element of the environment will make countries stronger in order to resist imbalances in the world economy. And one very specific example on how these kind of efforts can help the fight against poverty is we have a program in Mexico regarding reforestation. And it's not a purely reforestation program. It's more environmental services payment program. So the people in the countryside that used to plant crops now are being encouraged to plant trees and to take care of the trees, and they are being paid for taking care of the trees, not only for the planting, but to watch for the well-being of their forests. And even if they are living in areas where they can develop some kind of business in the wood sector, they can get also technical advice as to how to develop their business in a sustainable manner. So I think there are ways, and we need to look at it. And I think the case of so many Japanese companies, and in general the policy by the Japanese government to go into the most energy efficient economy, and also to the use of clean technologies in so many areas, is a very good example on how these technologies and these industries generate jobs, generate an important economic activity, and for that reason represents an opportunity.